Being regarded as a useless daughter-in-law was a constant sting, one that Elaine seemed determined to inflict at every opportunity. Her mocking laughter echoed through the phone, leaving me reeling. The arrogance in her voice, the utter disregard for me, ignited a fierce anger. It wasn't the first time she treated me like I was insignificant, but this time, her cruelty had crossed a line. As the rest area faded behind me, I realized I was utterly alone. Moments ago, I'd been surrounded by family, but now, they had left me behind. Confusion and fear swirled inside me, her cold words replaying in my mind. You just sit around the house. You don't deserve to stay at a hotel. Despite my constant hard work, she never acknowledged my efforts. I ran in with passion, managing every detail with perfection. Yet she clung to her narrative, intent on crushing my self-worth. On her end of the call, I could hear the laughter of relatives, their mockery amplifying my isolation. Her influence had turned the whole family against me, and even Tom, my husband, had refused to defend me. The humiliation, the dismissal of my contributions, and now this outright betrayal, it was too much. Her sneering face and contemptuous eyes filled my mind. Her obsession with pushing me away felt suffocating. Something inside me snapped, a decision crystallizing in my mind: no more. I took a deep breath and gripped my phone tightly, my fingers trembling not with fear, but with the raw power of long-suppressed rage. My heart raced, fueled by newfound determination. I dialed, my voice calm but steady, tinged with resolve. "I have a favor to ask," I said. This was the first step in reclaiming my life, and the beginning of an unexpected revenge. "My name is Maya Smith. I'm 40 years old, and I manage a large corporation. I met my husband, Tom, in my late 30s, and after 6 months of dating, we decided to marry. At first, he was attentive and kind, but over time, he grew indifferent. Now, our conversations are minimal, and he barely notices my presence." I accepted it, convincing myself it was just how things were. One evening, as I cleaned up after dinner, Tom spoke to me unexpectedly. "Hey Maya, I need to talk to you." "Oh, what's up?" I replied, smiling, glad he was addressing me directly for once. "My family is planning a trip, about 20 relatives. They want me to handle the hotel reservations and organize the itinerary." "Really? That sounds like a big task." "Well, I'm busy with work, and you have more days off than I do, so you take care of it. Find a cheap place, since I'm paying for everything. If you're coming, pitch in too." I wanted to point out that I worked just as hard, but I bit my tongue. He was finally asking for my help, and I wanted to oblige, even though spending time with his family wasn't appealing. This was for him. "Okay," I said, "I'll handle everything. Just pick a place that won't embarrass us in front of my family," he added, then lay back on the couch, scrolling through his phone. After cleaning up, I retreated to the bedroom and made a call to a familiar contact. "Hi, it's me. I need a favor," I said, my voice purposeful. A few days later, Tom's parents arrived at our apartment. When I shared the travel plans, Tom insisted we invite them over to go through the details in person. As they entered, his mother, Elaine, immediately headed for my kitchen cabinets and began rummaging through them. "Maya, are you seriously eating gourmet instant curry from a hotel? How indulgent. You should be cooking for Tom instead of living off things like this," she remarked, pulling out a few packets without asking, casually dropping them into her bag. This wasn't new. Every time Elaine visited, she treated my kitchen like her personal shopping aisle, helping herself to groceries, canned goods, and even decorative items. Once, she even took a set of dishes without a word, justifying it with, "Anything in my son's house is fair game." After that, I started hiding my favorite items before their visits. Tom's father, Rick, stood idly by, laughing as Elaine continued her spree. When she finally finished, I presented the hotel details. "Here's where we'll be staying," I said, pulling up the website for the luxury hotel I had booked. I handed them my phone to show off the sleek images of the newly opened property. Elaine glanced at it, her lips curling into a dismissive scoff. "Well, aren't you getting above your station? How are you affording this?" "Fortunately, I managed to negotiate a group discount under Tom's name," I replied evenly. "I thought you were useless, but I guess you can handle something like this," she said, her words cutting through me, but I didn't let it show. What Elaine didn't know was that the hotel was part of my own business. My family had operated a modest inn for years, but after it gained media attention, bookings skyrocketed, especially from international tourists. We expanded into high-end hospitality, and I had been managing the luxury property ever since. Tom had no idea that the prestigious hotel he was questioning was part of my family's success. I had kept it a secret, worried that revealing the truth would cause tension. Tom had once complained about my income surpassing his, so I made a conscious effort to downplay my career. Over time, I resolved not to share the full extent of my success with him or his parents. "I'm sure you'll love it," I said with a polite smile. "The place is beautiful, and the hospitality is exceptional." Elaine shot me a skeptical look. "We'll see. I'll keep my expectations low." Without missing a beat, she added, "Since we're here, let's do some shopping. We should grab dinner at a nice restaurant too." She completely ignored my offer to cook a meal, and soon after, she left. The day of the trip finally arrived. Tom, his parents, and I piled into his car, planning to meet the rest of the family at the hotel. Elaine, sitting in the back, couldn't resist her usual jabs. "Tom, isn't it time to replace this old car? You shouldn't be driving something so shabby." Tom sighed, keeping his eyes on the road. "I'd love to, but it's not in the budget." I glanced at him, feeling sympathy. I knew this trip was already putting a strain on him, especially with his family's expectations. "Oh, I'll pay for it. I can't stand the idea of my son driving around in such a junker," Elaine said with a dramatic sigh. "Really? Thanks, Mom," Tom replied, smiling faintly. "Of course, we'll go to the dealership together next week and pick out something more impressive." They continued chatting as if I weren't sitting right there beside Tom. These moments had become commonplace with his family, but it still stung. "You know," Elaine mused, her tone sharp, "if only there were grandkids on this trip, but I guess it's too late to hope for that now." "Well, that's what happens when you marry a woman who's already past her prime." "Mom, Dad, can you not?" Tom muttered, but didn't press further, letting their cruel comments linger in the air. I kept quiet, staring out the window, regretting ever agreeing to come along. After a long silence, I finally spoke up softly. "Tom, I need to use the restroom. Can we stop at the next service area?" Elaine immediately rolled her eyes. "Couldn't you have gone before we left? This is why we're always late." "I'm sorry, I'll be quick," I assured her. Tom pulled into the next service area, and I hurried inside. The line for the women's restroom was long, and I nervously glanced at my watch, worried about holding everyone up. After 10 minutes, I finally emerged, only to find that Tom's car had vanished. Confused, I looked around but couldn't spot them. I called Tom, but he didn't answer. As panic began to rise, I called Elaine instead. She picked up immediately. "Oh, hello, Maya. Something wrong?" she asked, her voice dripping with disdain. "I'm still at the service area," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Did something happen?" "We're already at the hotel," she replied, her words dripping with mockery. "Trips like these are for family. You know, You're just an outsider tagging along." Her words felt like a punch to the gut. "Elaine, you're already spoiled with what my son provides without working or contributing. You can sit this one out." She cut me off, her mocking laughter filling the background. I could hear other family members laughing too, before she hung up without a second thought. I stood there, stunned. The weight of her words settled over me, and I fought to stave off the despair that threatened to overwhelm me. I had worked tirelessly to organize this trip, only to be abandoned like this. But feeling sorry for myself wouldn't change anything. I had faced bigger challenges as a hotel manager, handling crises with composure. Drawing on that strength, I took a deep breath and made a call. "Hello, this is Maya. I have a reservation under Smith. Could you confirm it, please?" After ensuring everything was in order, I made another call. "Hi, it's Maya," I said to my assistant at the main office. "I'm stranded at a service area and need a ride to the hotel." "Of course, Miss Smith. I'll send a car right away," she replied. Relieved, I hung up. Soon, I'd be back on track. Meanwhile, in the car, Elaine gloated to Tom. "That woman's never been a good fit for you. She's too old for kids and not exactly a catch." "Mom, enough," Tom said, though his voice lacked conviction. "I'm just saying," she continued. "You deserve someone who's actually a family person." Tom stayed silent, torn but unable to find the courage to defend me. Later at the hotel, Tom and his family settled into their luxurious rooms and enjoyed the evening as if nothing had happened. They gathered in the dining area for an elaborate meal. "Tom really went all out with this place," Rick said, looking around in approval. "This hotel is famous nationwide. I hope it didn't cost you too much." "Well, Maya handled the arrangements," Tom admitted, trying to sound casual. "I'm covering it. Of course, that's what a good husband does." Tom's unease was evident, but he tried to push it aside and enjoy the moment. The next morning, as the family prepared to check out, they assumed all charges were covered, but as they gathered in the lobby, the hotel manager approached them. "Excuse me," he said, handing Tom a detailed statement. "Here's your final bill." Tom frowned as he glanced at the total, his eyes widening. "Why is this so much more than expected?" he stammered. "I thought everything was handled with a discount." "I apologize, sir," the manager said, his tone polite yet firm. "However, the discounted rate was only available if the owner was present." Tom frowned, confusion spreading across his face. "The owner? Who's that supposed to be?" "That would be Maya Smith, your wife," the manager replied, his words causing the room to fall into silence. Tom's face drained of color, and the family exchanged uneasy glances. Elaine gripped her purse tighter, as if it could somehow erase the charges. Me? Maya owns this hotel?" Tom stammered, his voice trembling. The manager nodded calmly. "Yes, she's the owner. Since she wasn't present, the discounted rate is no longer valid. The total amount due is $20,000. Elaine gasped, clutching her purse with even more desperation. "Do something, Tom. This has to be a mistake." Tom stuttered, looking increasingly flustered. "I didn't know Maya was the owner. I didn't realize." The manager extended the bill with steady hands. "How would you like to settle this?" A murmur spread among the relatives, their discomfort palpable. "You didn't know she owned this place, and she paid for everything?" someone whispered. Tom's gaze fell to the floor, unable to meet their eyes. Meanwhile, I arrived at the hotel, determined to confront Tom and his family. The staff greeted me warmly. "Welcome back, Miss Smith," the manager said with a respectful smile. "Everything has been handled as you requested." I thanked him, then headed to the lobby. As I walked in, I spotted Tom and his family at the counter, their faces a mix of embarrassment and unease. With my shoulders squared, I approached them, my presence demanding attention. "Good morning, everyone," I said, my voice calm but unwavering. "I see you're having a lovely time." The shock on their faces was almost amusing. Elaine was the first to recover, her tone dripping with false sweetness. "Maya, dear, we were just surprised. We didn't realize you were the owner here." "I'm sure you didn't," I replied evenly, "but I hope my outsider status no longer concerns you." "Maya, listen," Tom began, but I raised my hand, stopping him mid-sentence. "No, you listen," I said firmly. "You left me behind because I wasn't family enough, but I'm the reason you're even here, and I paid for everything." A heavy silence settled over the room. No one dared to look me in the eye. "And about that bill," I continued, my tone resolute. "No more discounts. This is considerate payment for the years of disrespect." Without waiting for a response, I turned and walked away, a sense of closure sweeping over me as I left them to deal with the cost themselves. Later that day, I checked out of my hotel suite and prepared to head home. It felt symbolic, leaving behind not only the trip but Tom and his family for good. As I packed my bags, I reflected on everything I had endured. This trip had been a turning point, a stark reminder that I deserved respect and appreciation, things I would never receive from Tom or his family. Just as I finished packing, the manager knocked on my door, holding a parting gift. "Miss Smith, thank you for your continued partnership and for trusting us. We hope this is just the beginning of many more successful ventures." "Thank you," I replied, smiling. "This hotel feels like a second home to me, and you've helped make it truly special." Checking out felt like stepping into a new chapter. A powerful sense of freedom washed over me, freedom from the past, from constant judgment, and from the weight of others' expectations. In the days that followed, I filed for divorce, finally choosing myself over a loveless marriage. I poured my energy into expanding the family business, opening more luxury inns, and pursuing dreams I had shoved aside for far too long. Surprisingly, news of my divorce and Tom's mounting financial troubles soon spread, but I didn't dwell on it. My new life was full of purpose, community, and growth, surrounded by people who respected me and believed in my vision. On quiet evenings, I'd raise a glass to myself, grateful for the strength to walk away and build a life on my own terms. Happiness, I realized, was something I could claim for myself, and I wasn't looking back.